came up for me seeing this news was the original, call it the original Esmeralda auction and winner. I don't remember when it was, way back in the day, and it was like a big deal because it was $100 a pound, something like that. It was just over $100 a pound, and that was like sort of this mythical watershed moment. But from the quality perspective, it's really interesting because that coffee, and I'm thinking about it now because you mentioned it got a 98 and there were some hundreds in there. That coffee got a 96. You're like, oh, that's a pretty high score. That's pretty good. I don't know if this was more than one person, if I'm like putting them together, but comments that came out of that cupping panel were that it was otherworldly beautiful, that it was life-changing.
Was it shiny as well?
Probably was, but maybe like sparkle and shiny. I mean, like the hyperbole that came out was amazing.
If the content we bring you on the podcast has helped you with your business or your career and you're looking for a way to financially support the independent production of this podcast, you can do that for as little as a few dollars a month by backing us on Patreon or becoming a paid subscriber on our YouTube channel. Another way to support us and continue your learning is to purchase one of our on-demand workshops available on our website, mapperforward.coffee/workshops. Check the show notes for links, and as always, thanks for the support. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is episode 3 of what got to be a bit of a spicy series so far with Ian from Cafe Imports. We're talking about quality in the coffee industry. And in the last episode, we talked about how we define quality. In this episode, we're going to talk about what role do coffee competitions play in quality. Now, Ian, last week, the end of last week, we were recording this on the 11th of August. There was a Best of Panama auction.
Yes.
And I guess you could sort of call that a competition of sorts because coffees are scored. It came after Cup of Excellence in Panama. No, it was the Best of Panama competition, right?
Best of Panama.
Competition.
It was
the winner. Go ahead.
the winner was the Esmeralda, right? I thought it was the Esmeralda.
Yeah, it was 98. So the Best of Panama competition happens, which is sort of like Cup of Excellence for those who don't know what that is. There was a coffee that scored a 98. Some of the judges scored it 100. This coffee sold at auction for $30,200 per kilo, and there were 20 kilos in that lot. The person who bought it is a business here in Dubai, and the total price for the lot was $604,000 for a lot for that lot of coffee, and the coffee internet is like so divided over this. I did a walk and talk. I do a weekly walk and talk for people who don't know. They've gotten very popular. They often go viral, and I just go for a walk and I do it once a week. I feel like pissing the internet off and doing another one after this conversation. Let's be real. But I go for a walk. I post it on LinkedIn and I post it on Instagram. And I got people from all corners of the internet having an opinion on this, and it was fucking wild. So Ian, what are your thoughts on this scenario?
This specific scenario, I don't know. It doesn't seem real. Like, and what I mean is like when you've seen those graphics of like, this is what $1 million looks like if it was grains of rice. This is what $1 billion looks like if
right.
Like, oh yeah, okay, we just don't comprehend the scope, the meaning of the numbers of the people. I think people can comprehend the $30,000 or whatever. I forget now the total dollar value, but I think that there is a parallel there where it's like this was that kind of money for a coffee. And so like if you think of here's the question, right? The question about competitions. What do they do for the industry? What do they do for quality? I think there's good and bad things. And when you see a number like this, people are going to say, well, it's great for who's getting paid. And it
The
is.
farmer. It's awesome.
Absolutely.
And congratulations
Yes.
to the Peterson family. Nobody
Yes.
begrudges them their success.
Yes.
The fact I love more than anything is that this money goes directly to the farmer.
Yes. And
Love that.
like, I think we don't want to lose sight of that. But for like some controversy, there's like a little, when I hear people talking about it and citing it, there's like a little like self-soothing reparation-y kind of thing going on. That's like, oh, well, we have these competition winners, so we're good. We're good on pricing. We're good on paying for coffee as an industry because look at this one and this one and this one. And it allows I don't want to say that. I don't know any single individual holds this perspective, but I get the suspicion that it exists as a deflection from a more core issue, which is extractive coffee buying practices.
And when
So-
you say extractive coffee buying practices, what do you exactly mean?
I mean, like getting as much coffee for as little money as possible,
Anyone who
Regardless of-
hasn't,
regardless
Go on.
of what that means, right?
regardless of what it's worth,
Yes.
right? Like, if you haven't seen the series with Nora Berkey, go and watch it now. Like, after you finish this series, go and watch that. We talk at length about the extractive nature that the coffee industry has played in the global south. And it is very important. And we recorded that a few days before this situation happened. I wish I would have been able to talk to Nora about it. But my problem here is not necessarily from the seller's perspective. It's from the buyer's perspective. I want to give people some context. I live here in Dubai. The person who bought it is in Dubai. Everything I'm about to say is in my opinion, for all the lawyers out there. The business that bought it had been open for 7 days.
Yeah. I saw that.
7 days, folks. I want you to go and look at a blog post that we just posted. It's also on our social media. And the title of it is coffee becoming a meme coin? Because what we are doing when we do this stuff is we are saying that the price of coffee should be determined by the hype value that's associated with us being able to sell it. And the reason that I mention I'm in Dubai and who it was that did this is because I want to mention the damage that something like this does to the rest of the industry. Now, people are going to think that everybody in Dubai can afford $600,000 for 20 kilos of coffee. And it's simply not the case. And they connect that auction with the auction that happened here at World of Coffee. And they say, oh my God, M. Cultivo ran both auctions. Guys, I want to tell you, all I'm going to say about this is please understand, I know I have firsthand evidence. Not everything is always as it seems. Not everything is always as it seems. And it's important for us as an industry to look at these competitions and say there's a score that's associated with these coffees. When these prices are associated with them, it doesn't just say something about the coffee that's being purchased for it, but now what are we saying about all the rest of the coffee?
Yeah. Sure. Yep.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Ian.
One of the things that came up for me because I've thought about this a bunch in the past as I've worked on cupping forms and that sort of thing. One of the things that came up for me seeing this news was the original, call it the original Esmeralda auction and winner. I don't remember when it was, way back in the day, and it was like a big deal because it was $100 a pound. Something like that. It was just over $100 a pound. And that was like sort of this mythical watershed moment. But from the quality perspective, it's really interesting because that coffee, and I'm thinking about it now because you mentioned it got a 98 and there were some hundreds in there. That coffee got a 96. You're like, oh, that's a pretty high score. That's pretty good. I don't know if this was more than one person, if I'm like putting them together, but comments that came out of that cupping panel were that it was otherworldly beautiful, that it was life-changing.
Was it shiny as well?
Probably was, but maybe like sparkle and shiny. I mean, like the hyperbole that came out was amazing. And I will say, maybe nothing wrong with that hyperbole, but if you have an otherworldly beautiful, life-changing coffee and you only give it 96 points, the question becomes, where are those other 4 points? And if the question is, where are those other 4 points? The real question, which is circling back to what you just said, is what is the expectation for every other coffee? Let's say I'm just like really good at producing coffee. I don't produce otherworldly, life-changing coffee, but I'm really good at it. Maybe I've even like placed higher, won a competition or two. And I'm told that otherworldly, beautiful, life-changing coffee is 96. That's a pretty hard ceiling. So for this one, for nothing else, at least it got some hundreds, and at least it almost, it got 98. The next question is, would I taste it? Would you taste it? Would a bunch of people taste it and come to that same conclusion or not? Or was there hype within the competition? When you're at a competition, you know you're at a competition. When you're at the top 10 of a competition, you really know you're at a competition and you're at the top 10. When you're at a famous competition,
I was just going to say,
you know all of that. You know where this is going when you're doing it. That influences you. Now, that doesn't mean you're a bad competition planner. Doesn't mean you're a bad taster or a bad human. That is a very basic, very common sensory error. You know that stuff. You can't turn it off. It does not get... Test design needs to turn it off. You can't turn it off. All right, we're going to stay on competitions. I was going to tangent right there.
You don't have to say, like, I was really enjoying that tangent that you were going on, but it wasn't quite a tangent, to be honest with you, because that is exactly the point.
Yeah.
Is if we are in competition and we're assessing quality, you are simply by being a judge, you are engaging your ego while you're assessing quality.
Yeah.
It is, I think, the most, when people say, no, you can be trained to be objective in these circumstances. Not at Best of Panama, you can't. Not at any competition, you can't. Because you inherently are assessing your peers. You are assessing...
Yes.
Right? Like,
yes.
When people say to me, I'm assessing someone just on what's in front of me, and the role of the judge is to make sure that I stay on track. How the fuck do you know that he's not or she's not tainted as well?
Yes. Here's what you do. We'll just say, to approach objectivity in this.
Okay.
You don't tell your judges this is the top 10 of the biggest competition in the world. You don't only put those coffees on the table. You put Ethiopia's. You put El Salvador's. You put other coffees on. Your top 10 doesn't come from a single table, or it doesn't come from the top 10. You don't select your top 10 from only the top 10. You select your top 10 from a larger sample, right? You need to have a sample.
There should be 100 samples on the table.
Should be 100 samples on the table. So that's one way that you approach, because now
is that what they do?
I can't be wrong if I know if it's the top 10. I can say it doesn't matter. I cannot be wrong. I might not calibrate with everyone else, but I'm going to be correct as long as I throw high enough. I'm going to be correct. That's fine. But if that coffee has to stand against coffees, not just like high caliber coffees from the rest of the world, but also like middling and lower quality coffees from the rest of the world, now you start to know maybe it was really what it was. We currently, when we taste coffee, it's blind, it's replicated. Blind means we don't know what anything is. We don't see the coffee. We don't see any information. We just have 3-digit code. That's all we see. When I started, we would have the trays on the table behind the cups, see the coffee, and it would just have a tag that would say like Nicaragua 1, Nicaragua 2, Ethiopia 1, 2, 3. Let me tell you, the best way to get a coffee with score and notes that are appropriate to what that coffee is to tell people what that coffee is.
What the origin is.
They're gonna feed it right back to you.
100%.
As soon as it's blind, as soon as they don't know, and I get back returns that say jasmine, lemon, whatever, I say, oh, that must have that, and it was in Ethiopia. I say, okay, you didn't know that. You had to identify that. And now you're describing to me an Ethiopian coffee that is an Ethiopian. That's great. That gives me more confidence than just knowing that you looked at the tag that said Ethiopia, grade 1, blah, 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 blah. And then you told me what you thought it was supposed to taste like. That's it. Those are different exercises. When we're talking about competitions, the thing that always comes up to me, do you know this thing? It's called a Keynesian beauty contest.
No, I know what Keynesian. Oh, that's Keynesian economics.
Keynesian. I'm sorry, I said it wrong.
Are you saying Keynesian?
Keynesian beauty contest.
Tell me.
It's amazing. It's so good. It's like this thought experiment where we're all judging a competition.
Okay.
But in order to render our scores, I'm thinking about what you're going to score and trying to match you. You're thinking about what I'm going to score and trying to match me. That's level 1. Level 2 is I know that you're trying to match me. So now I am not thinking about what you're going to score. I'm thinking about what you think I'm going to score. And we just keep looping around and we get further and further and further away from the coffee. We get further and further away from what we're doing. We're just, like I said before,
it's a girdle loop. It doesn't resolve.
Okay. It doesn't. That's right. It doesn't resolve. Competitions act like that so often.
100%.
You get together after the flight number 1, like calibration day, not even flight 1, calibration day. You do your tasting, everyone hangs out, they talk about the coffee, you're kind of like meeting everyone. Really quick, you find out who's the loud voice in this room.
Yeah.
Who's the person who I want to be aligned with? Who am I listening for, watching? Who do I want to think I'm good? Who do I want to convince that I'm worthy and good and smart and
who do I want to like me?
Now for the rest of the week, whatever, I'm in that beauty contest where the coffee is
It's a really
secondary,
great way to describe it.
Tertiary. It's gone. It might as well not even be there.
This is how our industry tricks itself into thinking competitions is all about community. The judging room is just all community.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that given the weight that we put on competitions and the amount of money that's invested in these competitions and the level of poverty that the people who are entering the competitions have, whether it's barista or most of the farming, the Cup of Excellence and whatnot, the poverty that is spread across the majority of the people who enter these competitions, I don't think that we are recognizing how rigged it is against us. We haven't even spoken about the thing that nobody wants to talk about, which is the fact that judges are bought. Nobody wants to talk about it. Ian, would you believe the number of people that have said to me, I want to come on your podcast and talk about the dark side of competitions, how judges are bought and positions are being, and we get to the day of recording and they say, I can't do it. I'm really scared of what's going to happen.
I will report. I've never been bored at a competition.
Bored or bought?
Oh, bought. Oh, bought.
Yeah,
okay.
No, you want to retract that shit very quickly.
Have I?
Bought, as in money paid under the table to cook the results.
I see.
And it happens.
I can also say that I've never experienced that. I've never experienced that. However, the community, the like, let's get them all together, make sure everyone's having a good time. Like, there's certainly a soft, there's grease in the wheels.
100%.
There's grease in the wheels.
There's one more thing that I want to say before we wrap this episode up about why these competitions can be harmful to the industry when we're talking about quality. The amounts that are paid for competition winners are a marketing endeavor.
Yeah.
The quality, the coffee is not being purchased based on its quality score or its quality perception. It's being purchased so somebody can fast track their marketing efforts.
Sure.
That is dysfunctional, particularly when we're in a coffee crisis. It is always dysfunctional, but is particularly dysfunctional at a time when our global economy is where it is and our coffee industry is where it is. And the really dysfunctional part about it is once the hype ends from that coffee and you have finished that media campaign from telling everybody that you're selling a coffee that's more than $500 a cup, you have to outdo that next.
Yes, sure. Yep.
Go ahead.
Can I'd like to ID two things that I think are good.
While I choke on my tea. Go ahead.
About competitions.
Go ahead.
One, there's the lotto ticket of winning.
Which is awesome for the producer.
Which is awesome for the producer and which pales next to the real thing that happens, which is someone says, well, we're going to buy this, but we also just want to buy the rest of your coffee from here on out. If you produce it, we're just going to try to buy it. And we're going to try hard to just buy it. Up year, down year, from now on. If you want to work with us, we're going to try to do that. And we're going to work out pricing, and it's going to be really, really
great. Good. Awesome. Amazing.
That is I would call that a discovery component that does exist. Now, I don't know if that exists in, like, we don't participate in in that world. Right. That's not our world. So I don't know if it exists there, but it does exist. It does exist elsewhere. And like Cup of Excellence, we used to be a little bit more, we used to be more active, but we would taste through the coffee. And often what we would find is that we would identify something in the 6, 7, 8 ranking range that we thought this was the best coffee. And then we'd go to the auction and we would see that coffee bidding up with, never with 1 and 2. Those were always, but bidding up outside of its ranking place. And then we would say, oh, other people also think that. We're going to try to get it, but if we don't, maybe we can go and find that person and really be working with that person or into that community and like identify places where we can really, really buy coffee. And when we do this kind of thing, we are trying to really, what I would call really buy coffee. We're really trying to go in and say, hey, good years, bad years.
Mhm.
Here's like, it's not cup of excellence pricing every single time. We're not, if you can go to auction and do that over and over again every year, you should do that because that will be better.
Right.
But we want to be really, really, really competitive for you over and over and over and over and over again. And
Right.
we want to help create that resiliency against varying years. I think that can come out of competitions. We've done that and I've observed that. And I think that's just
Powerful.
really powerful.
Yeah.
The other thing that I've seen firsthand that I really appreciate, specific to Cup of Excellence, is the training of the national judges, and not just the national judges, but the in-country people who actually we walk in and
Put on the competitions.
Here are these people putting on the competition. They're roasting, they're grinding, they're pouring water, they're bringing kettles. All of those, someone from COE goes down in advance and works with them for this chunk of time. And basically they end up having this crash course into international coffee, And I've had fairly long conversations with it's been a while, but with various head judges who went through that process. And when I did those competitions more, I try to get at least a day at lunch where I would be talking to the head judge about things, and often what they're identifying as the most rewarding or their favorite part of the job is, as hard as it is knowing that, like, maybe it's a drop in the bucket, but here are 10, 20, 30 people who hadn't done this and now have done this, and now have a different thing within whatever the political or social or cultural structure of the coffee industry here is. This is generally considered good and helpful information and background and experience, and now they've got that.
And I guess that's fantastic, and I think that that's great. And I've spoken to judges before, and they've said, look, that's the best part of it. But at the end of the day, you can't put lipstick on a pig, right? What I'm saying is, this is not like it's not like we're going there and we're going there in order to be on some mission to help people. Like, people are going there to buy coffees so that they can turn around and fucking sell them in Dubai for $500 a cup. Let's be real about that.
Yeah. No. Yes.
Anyway, next episode, even spicier, folks. We're talking about the CBA. Join us for that. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day. This episode is part of a 5-part series produced by Mapper Forward. Check the full playlist and guest details in the show notes, as well as how you can support our work in the coffee industry. Become a premium YouTube subscriber, explore our Patreon and any brands we've partnered with to bring you this podcast. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really does help us grow our audience.